You ever notice something funny about crowds? They laugh, they cheer, they judge. But the moment someone truly controls the room, they go quiet. Tonight, that someone was you. You didn't beg for attention. You didn't chase approval. No, you walked in and owned the chaos. Every dusty critic in the room tried to test you, tried to shake you, tried to break that confidence. But what happened? You didn't fold. You didn't panic. You locked the whole crowd in, every eye, every mind, every heartbeat. And the way you handled those Dusties, that wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was pure, ruthless confidence. And here's the scary part. Once someone learns how to control a crowd like that, they stop being just another voice in the room. They become the person everyone listens to. And trust me, that's when the real fun begins. The moment you step into a room, something subtle but powerful happens. People begin to observe you. They watch how you walk, how you carry yourself, how you react to the smallest things. Before you even say a single word, the room is already forming an opinion about you. Owning the room starts long before your voice fills the air. It begins with presence. The way your shoulders are held, the steadiness of your gaze, the calm rhythm of your breathing. A person who owns the room doesn't rush, doesn't look for permission, and doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. They move with the quiet understanding that they belong exactly where they stand. Energy is contagious, and crowds respond to energy more than they respond to words. When someone walks in with hesitation, the room feels it instantly. Doubt spreads like smoke, and suddenly every whisper, every small reaction becomes louder in the speaker's mind. But when someone enters with certainty, the atmosphere shifts. Conversations slow down, attention sharpens, and people start to focus. Not because they were forced to, but because confidence naturally pulls attention toward it. It's a silent signal that says, something important is happening here. That signal doesn't require shouting or dramatic gestures. Often it comes from the calmest person in the room. Owning the room also means controlling your reactions. There will always be distractions. Someone might laugh, someone might whisper, someone might look uninterested. The average speaker gets pulled into those moments. Their focus breaks, their tone changes, and the crowd senses that shift immediately. But a person who truly commands the room treats those moments like background noise. Their attention remains locked on the bigger picture. They speak with the same calm intensity, whether the room is silent or restless. That emotional stability sends a powerful message. Nothing here can shake their control. Authority in a room doesn't come from dominance. It comes from clarity. When someone knows exactly what they stand for, their words carry weight. Each sentence lands with purpose. There's no unnecessary explanation, no wandering thoughts, just clear ideas delivered with conviction. People respect clarity because it makes them feel guided rather than confused. In a crowded environment where voices compete for attention, the clearest voice naturally rises above the rest. Another element of owning the room is connection. Even the most confident speaker loses power if the audience feels ignored. True command doesn't isolate people. It pulls them closer. Eye contact becomes a bridge between speaker and listener. A pause at the right moment allows the crowd to absorb the message. Small shifts in tone create emotion that people can feel. Suddenly, the room isn't just hearing words, it's experiencing them. When listeners feel included in the moment, their attention locks in without effort. There is also a mental battle happening behind the scenes. Every crowd carries a mix of supporters, skeptics, and silent observers. Some people want to see you succeed. Others quietly wait for a mistake. Owning the room means refusing to let those hidden expectations control you. Instead of worrying about approval, the focus stays on delivering the message with honesty and strength. Ironically, the moment someone stops chasing approval is the moment people begin respecting them more. Timing plays a powerful role as well. A confident speaker understands the rhythm of a crowd. They know when to pause, when to push forward, when to let silence stretch for just a second longer. Silence, when used intentionally, can be more powerful than any sentence. It gives the audience time to think, and in that brief space, attention becomes even stronger. The room leans in, because it senses that something meaningful is about to happen. Body language constantly reinforces the message. Open posture signals confidence. Steady movement prevents nervous energy from taking over. Even the way someone stands still can communicate strength. The crowd may not consciously analyze these signals, but they feel them. Humans naturally trust people who appear grounded and comfortable in their own space. As momentum builds, something fascinating happens. The room starts reflecting the speaker's energy back to them. Listeners nod, expressions change, reactions grow stronger. What began as one person speaking slowly becomes a shared emotional experience. The speaker no longer feels like they are trying to capture attention. Instead, attention flows naturally toward them. In that moment, the power dynamic of the room has shifted. The crowd is no longer evaluating the speaker. They are following them. Confidence over noise isn't about being the loudest voice in the room or demanding attention through theatrics. It's about maintaining an unshakable belief in yourself, even when the environment is chaotic, distracting, or full of doubt. Crowds are rarely silent. There are whispers, side conversations, skeptical glances, and subtle interruptions. Most people let these external noises dictate their behavior. They react, hesitate, or over-explain, trying to justify themselves to the world. But confidence over noise is the ability to remain steady, focused, and true to your own energy regardless of what's happening around you. It's a quiet power, but one that resonates far more deeply than mere volume or flash ever could. Every word you speak carries more weight when it's delivered from a place of inner certainty. When your intentions are clear and your mind is calm, external distractions barely register. You don't need to shout to be heard. People instinctively notice when someone isn't swayed by their environment. They sense that grounded energy and respond to it naturally. Noise loses its power over a person who has confidence because they are anchored in themselves. This kind of presence is magnetic. It draws attention without demanding it and earns respect without effort. Confidence over noise is not just a personal skill. It's a silent strategy that changes the entire dynamic of interaction. Part of mastering confidence over noise is the ability to filter what matters from what doesn't. Not every comment, reaction, or challenge requires engagement. A confident person knows when to respond and when to let things slide. Choosing battles carefully preserves energy and amplifies impact. By ignoring the unnecessary chatter, the speaker ensures that when they do speak, every word lands with precision. Noise becomes background music instead of an obstacle, and the crowd subconsciously begins to follow the rhythm set by someone who is in full control of their focus. Emotional intelligence plays a huge role in this. Crowds respond not just to words, but to the emotional signals behind them. If a speaker shows anxiety, frustration, or doubt, the audience picks up on it immediately. Confidence over noise means controlling these signals, even when facing resistance or criticism. It's about projecting calm determination, while internally processing the situation without panic. The ability to remain composed under pressure transforms how the room perceives the speaker. Skeptics become listeners, distractions become irrelevant, and the energy shifts in favor of the person who refuses to be unsettled. Even subtle body language reinforces this principle. A relaxed posture, controlled gestures, and steady eye contact communicate strength and self-assurance. Nervous movements, fidgeting, or rushed motions betray uncertainty, no matter how polished the words might be. Confident individuals understand that the room reacts more to the energy they project than to the literal content of their speech. Maintaining calm, deliberate physical cues ensures that confidence overpowers the external noise, creating a magnetic pull that focuses attention where it belongs. Timing and pacing further enhance the effect. Confident speakers use pauses strategically to command attention. While the room might be filled with murmurs, laughter, or restless energy, a deliberate pause can silence the crowd without a single raised voice. People lean in instinctively because the speaker's composure signals that what comes next is important. Noise becomes a tool rather than a hindrance, accentuating the power of words instead of diluting them. Every pause, inflection, and emphasis works together to dominate the space quietly but unmistakably. Internal mindset is the backbone of confidence over noise. The belief that you are capable, prepared, and worthy of attention shields you from self-doubt and external judgment. The strongest speakers don't wait for approval or validation. They act from a place of conviction. When doubts arise, they acknowledge them without letting them dictate behavior. Noise and criticism cannot penetrate a mind that has built a foundation of self-trust. That inner certainty creates a ripple effect. The room mirrors the calm and assured energy, and attention naturally centers on the speaker. Finally, confidence over noise is about turning chaos into opportunity. When the environment becomes unpredictable, most people falter. But those who have mastered this skill see a chance to demonstrate control and clarity. Every distraction becomes a stage to show composure. Every skeptic a chance to reinforce authority. By remaining steady, even when the room is full of competing voices, the speaker transforms a potentially overwhelming situation into one of dominance. Noise no longer dictates the flow. The person who holds confidence sets the rhythm, and the crowd falls in line. Silencing the doubters begins with understanding that not everyone in the room is on your side. There will always be skeptics, critics, and people who hope you fail. Their energy can be subtle, in the form of raised eyebrows, smirks, or whispered conversations. For others, it's louder, with direct challenges, interruptions, or negative comments. Most people react to this by becoming defensive, over-explaining themselves, or trying too hard to prove their worth. But the real power in silencing doubters comes from an entirely different approach. It's not about arguing with them. It's about demonstrating unwavering confidence and competence in a way that leaves them no choice but to acknowledge it. Silence, control, and precision are your tools. When used correctly, they speak louder than words ever could. The first step in silencing doubters is mastering your own mindset. Doubters feed off insecurity. If you show hesitation, self-doubt, or panic, you give them ammunition. A person who remains grounded and self-assured under scrutiny instantly diminishes the influence of those critics. Doubters rely on creating tension, but when tension is met with calm certainty, their energy becomes irrelevant. You learn to treat criticism and negativity as background noise, acknowledging it without letting it dictate your actions or emotions. This internal control creates an external presence that demands respect and attention. The room starts noticing that no amount of doubt can shake your composure, and gradually the skeptics' voices fade into the background. Actions matter more than words when it comes to silencing doubters. Saying you're confident or capable isn't enough. People need to see it. Your behavior, decisions, and results communicate your value more powerfully than arguments or explanations ever could. A quiet, deliberate approach often makes a bigger impact than trying to prove yourself aggressively. When a person performs with clarity and consistency, doubt loses its grip. The crowd starts recognizing competence Instead of being distracted by the critics and those who doubted you are left with no rebuttal strong enough to challenge what is evident before their eyes. Silencing doubters also requires timing and patience. Immediate reactions often play into their hands. If you respond defensively or emotionally, you reinforce their attempts to destabilize you. Instead, observing, absorbing, and then responding strategically creates a sense of inevitability. When the moment is right, a calm, confident statement, a decisive action, or even just a knowing glance can have a far greater effect than words spoken in haste. It's about controlling the pace of interaction, ensuring that your presence, not their negativity, sets the tone for the room. Nonverbal communication plays a critical role in this process. The way you carry yourself, maintain eye contact, and even stand or move sends a continuous message. A relaxed but deliberate posture conveys that you are unbothered. Steady gestures and controlled movements indicate authority and awareness. Doubters may try to provoke reactions, but when your nonverbal signals exude confidence, their attempts lose power. People in the room subconsciously pick up on this energy, recognizing that you are in control, and that the skeptics have no real influence over the flow of attention or respect. Another essential element is focus. Silencing doubters means keeping your attention on your own goals, your own message, and your own actions, rather than letting their negativity hijack your energy. By concentrating on what matters and ignoring what doesn't, you reclaim control over the room. The more centered you remain, the less space you give to the doubter's influence. Every step, every word, every choice becomes a declaration that your priorities outweigh the noise. The crowd begins to align with your focus, reinforcing your position and making the doubters feel increasingly isolated. Experience also contributes to silencing doubters. People who have faced criticism and skepticism before develop an instinct for handling it. They know which battles are worth engaging and which ones are better ignored. Every time doubt or negativity arises, seasoned speakers draw on previous encounters, using composure and insight to navigate the moment. This cumulative skill builds an aura of inevitability. Those who doubt once or twice begin to realize that their attempts to disrupt are futile. Consistency in handling doubt strengthens credibility, and credibility is one of the most effective silencers of criticism. Finally, silencing doubters is about transforming their energy into motivation. Instead of seeing critics as obstacles, view them as opportunities to reinforce your strength. Every challenge becomes a stage to demonstrate your control, your skill, and your resilience. By turning doubt into a tool, you not only neutralize negativity, but also amplify your presence and impact. The crowd begins to witness not just your performance, but your mastery over the dynamics of judgment itself. Doubters are silenced not through confrontation, but through evidence, poise, and the quiet but undeniable power of someone who refuses to be shaken. Controlling the crowd's energy is a skill that goes far beyond speaking loudly or performing flashy gestures. It's about understanding the subtle currents of attention, emotion, and anticipation that move through a room and learning how to guide them deliberately. Every crowd has its own rhythm, its own mood, and its own set of expectations. Some are restless, some skeptical, some overly enthusiastic, and others are quiet, observing every detail. The person who controls the crowd doesn't fight against these natural dynamics. They work with them, reading the room like a conductor reads a symphony, knowing when to raise intensity, when to pause, and when to shift direction to keep engagement high. It is the difference between merely speaking to people and truly commanding their experience. One of the first aspects of controlling energy is establishing presence. A confident, grounded individual projects a magnetic force that draws attention even before a word is spoken. The way you enter a room, the steadiness of your movements, the calm in your posture. All of it communicates authority and focus. People instinctively respond to presence, and this initial alignment allows you to shape the emotional flow more effectively. Once attention is captured, the crowd becomes more receptive to the nuances of your energy and message. Controlling energy begins with taking ownership of your own, because a crowd cannot rise above the level of confidence it senses in the speaker. Timing and pacing are critical tools in directing the room. Energy ebbs and flows naturally, and the most skilled speaker learns to match and then amplify it. A well-timed pause can create suspense. A sudden shift in tone can snap attention back, and deliberate pacing can lead the crowd through peaks and valleys of emotion. The audience's reactions are not random. They mirror the cues they receive from the speaker. Understanding how to modulate this rhythm allows you to guide engagement, turning moments of distraction into moments of focus. Energy becomes a shared experience, rather than something chaotic or uncontrolled. Vocal dynamics also play a powerful role. The tone, volume, and cadence of your voice can influence how people feel in real time. A quiet, deliberate statement can demand more attention than shouting, while sudden bursts of intensity can inject excitement into a previously calm audience. The careful use of emphasis and modulation signals importance and creates emotional resonance. The crowd responds not just to the words themselves, but to the emotional signals embedded in delivery. Mastering vocal energy allows a speaker to pull the audience along, creating a sense of anticipation and engagement that feels almost physical. Body language and spatial awareness further reinforce the control of energy. Open gestures invite inclusion, movement across the stage or space signals dynamism, and controlled pauses convey authority. Even subtle shifts in eye contact can direct focus, signal connection, or challenge doubt. The physical presence of a speaker shapes how energy moves through the room, and skilled use of space ensures that the audience's attention follows the intended path rather than wandering. Every movement becomes a brushstroke, painting the emotional atmosphere, allowing the speaker to sculpt attention almost invisibly. Reading the crowd is equally essential. Observing facial expressions, posture, and micro-reactions provides a real-time feedback loop. A slight change in mood might indicate confusion, skepticism, or waning interest, and adjusting accordingly keeps engagement strong. Skilled speakers can pivot seamlessly, altering energy to maintain alignment with the audience. This adaptability ensures that control isn't rigid or forced, but fluid and responsive. When a speaker can anticipate and respond to shifts, the room feels both guided and energized, unaware of the subtle manipulation that has taken place. Confidence amplifies all of these techniques. A speaker who is secure in their message and abilities can take risks with energy modulation, knowing that the audience will follow. Uncertainty, hesitation, or overcompensation, by contrast, disrupts the flow and allows the crowd's energy to dictate the moment. The most commanding presence arises when internal certainty radiates outward, allowing every gesture, word, and pause to resonate with maximum impact. This self-assurance creates a gravitational pull, subtly synchronizing the audience's emotional state with that of the speaker. Finally, controlling energy is about creating an experience rather than just delivering information. When a speaker aligns voice, movement, focus, and timing, the audience doesn't just hear a message, they feel it. Energy becomes immersive, contagious, and memorable. Each reaction, nod, or cheer is a reflection of the crowd's alignment with the speaker's rhythm. By mastering this dynamic, a person doesn't just speak to the audience. They lead it, directing attention, shaping emotion, and ultimately leaving an unforgettable impression that lingers long after the moment has passed. Turning pressure into power begins with the understanding that stress, challenges, and high-stakes situations are not obstacles. They are opportunities waiting to be claimed. Most people shrink under pressure. They stumble over words, overthink decisions, or let fear dictate their actions. But those who transform pressure into power approach it differently. They see it as fuel, a way to sharpen focus and elevate performance. Every heartbeat racing in tense moments, every doubt or expectation from the crowd, becomes energy to channel rather than a weight to bear. Pressure is no longer a threat. It becomes a tool for demonstrating resilience and mastery. The first step in this transformation is mental reframing. Instead of perceiving pressure as a risk, the mind is trained to see it as a challenge, a test of skill, poise, and confidence. This shift changes the body's physiological response as well. Adrenaline, which normally triggers anxiety, becomes a source of heightened awareness, sharper reflexes, and increased energy. The very sensations that intimidate most people become advantages for those who understand how to harness them. Thoughts that might paralyze others are processed as signals to act decisively, making every decision under pressure more intentional and impactful. Preparation is equally crucial. Pressure amplifies weaknesses, but thorough preparation mitigates them. Knowing your material, your strategy, and your objectives inside and out allows the mind to remain calm when external stress escalates. Confidence grows from competence, and competence under pressure is visible to everyone around you. The audience, colleagues, or competitors may try to shake your focus, but when you operate from a foundation of preparation, their attempts are neutralized. Pressure ceases to dictate the flow of events. You dictate it, moving with clarity and precision. Another key aspect is emotional control. High pressure environments provoke strong emotions, fear, frustration, doubt, or even excitement. Mastering these emotions allows a person to channel them rather than be consumed by them. A calm demeanor in the eye of chaos reassures others, commands respect, and amplifies influence. Emotional regulation transforms what could be a moment of vulnerability into a moment of dominance. The energy of tension is converted into performance, turning potentially destabilizing forces into tools that strengthen presence and authority. Focus is sharpened under pressure because distractions fall away. When stakes are high, there's no room for trivial concerns or hesitation. Every movement, word, and decision is intentional. The crowd, competitors, or situation become mirrors, reflecting the intensity and clarity of purpose that radiate from someone who thrives in pressure. This concentrated energy draws attention, heightens engagement, and reinforces credibility. People naturally gravitate toward those who handle pressure with poise because it signals strength, reliability, and competence. Body language under pressure communicates as much as words. A firm stance, controlled gestures, and measured movements signal confidence even when circumstances are tense. Those who falter physically under stress reveal uncertainty, whereas deliberate physicality projects authority. Maintaining a strong presence ensures that the energy in the room aligns with the speaker or leader, rather than the chaos surrounding them. Observers respond to this alignment instinctively, reinforcing the speaker's dominance and the perception of control. Turning pressure into power also involves strategic decision-making. High stress situations often present multiple paths, some riskier than others. Those who thrive under pressure assess, prioritize, and act decisively, turning uncertainty into opportunity. Indecision under pressure invites failure or loss of influence, while decisive action strengthens perception of competence and command. Even if outcomes are unpredictable, the manner in which decisions are executed under pressure communicates leadership, resilience, and mastery. Finally, the transformation of pressure into power creates a feedback loop. Each successful navigation of a high pressure moment builds confidence for the next challenge. Experiences under stress reinforce mental strength, emotional control, and the ability to read and influence the energy of the room. Over time, challenges that once intimidated become stages to showcase skill, poise, and dominance. Pressure ceases to be a source of fear and becomes the very fuel that drives performance, magnifies presence, and elevates influence to levels few can reach.